Greetings everyone, my name is Jack5, and this video is probably going to fly over everyone's heads because it doesn't have stereotypes in the title. You might be wondering why I'm making this video in light of this. Well, there's one simple reason. You see this video? Outdated, ruined, destroyed. Quite a lot of what you learned from that video is no longer applicable. And that's not due to my ineptness, no. Put simply, I helped create a major update to Rush's server Zombie Survival that shook up a majority of the underperforming weapons. So not only are the stereotypes now inaccurate, but also the recommendations I made in that video. I'm going to retread the ground I burned to ash in this video so that you can get up to speed on how the changes have impacted the game. Though if you want to stay up to date, you should look to the Team Fortress 2 wiki page for that. I'm also going to spend some time reasoning with the most expressed opinions I got from the stereotypes comments section, and this is what I'm going to start talking about. I encourage you to watch this part of the video, as I'm likely more rational than you may think, but if you're completely convinced that I have no redeeming qualities, then please take the time to find the point in the video where I begin talking about the specific changes made to each weapon. Alright, first, let's get some of the more stupid comments out of the way. We've got all the people that can't help but say I'm not Soundsmith, which is hilarious in its own way, because that joke has already been done to death by every one of his fans. I'm sure that they would all love to live in a utopia where Soundsmith single-handedly produced every Stereotypes-esque video, but that's about as realistic as getting Dom to resume his Everything Explained series full-time. I think it's about time that everybody thought of something original to say. Speaking of originality, here we have another dead joke born out of Soundsmith's community. You didn't cover the PDAs, as if I needed to. The PDAs are equipped by all engineers at all times, and the strange variant of the PDAs pose no significance to warrant being a separate topic of discussion. Therefore, no stereotype. And lastly, before we get into the valid arguments, the most stupid kind of comment I got on the video. He's just salty because he gets killed all the time. In response, I'd like to direct your attention to stats.rushyservice.com. I rest my case. With those posts out of the way, I can now discuss the important comments that have some merit of their own besides being a meme. To begin with, we have the most popular opinion. This game mode sounds super toxic, you're enforcing a meta onto innocent lives, oh my goodness, shut the hell up. This was less my fault than it was the lack of diversity in good weapons at the time. You see, having a meta is one thing, but having no advantageous alternatives is another. Engineers were plainly putting themselves in danger if they used a non-meta weapon, and a similar case for medics with the VITA-SAW. To everybody that was familiar with Zombie Survival, it was clear that these people weren't able to perform at their best because of their weapon choices. Though now that the weapons have been balanced, this is no longer an issue, and while this video may still promote the meta, it won't do so as harshly. Another thing to take away from this is to avoid judging something based on a single YouTube personality's experiences. In a similar vein, a lot of commenters couldn't understand the association between the short circuit and Eureka effect and banning people, accusing me of being scum of the TF2 community for thinking this way. Let me replay these sections of the video to provide you with the necessary context for me to continue. The weapon's second fire is the worst part, as the engineer does not even need to aim while he zaps multiple people in a row through his dispenser. Holy hell! By building teleporters at extremely awkward places and destroying them once a teleport happens, they've found the easiest way possible of killing their own team members for their amusement. Now that you understand the problems with these weapons, let me give you some background. On Rush's servers, these weapons aren't an issue, because the short circuit's alt fire and Eureka effect's teleport function were nerfed heavily in mid-2017. However, the reason that these weapons are still ban-worthy is because people playing on non-Rushy server Zombie Survival can freely abuse these exploits with no restrictions. Do you understand now? I'm not getting rid of people because they use a weapon. I'm informing regular players of the exploits an unrestricted engineer is capable of, in order to reduce the amount of exploiting that actually occurs. I hope that sorts everything out. Finally, we have the accusation that I failed to mention any stereotypes at all. This statement is completely incorrect, and I believe that the wordiness of the video may have contributed to the formation of this opinion. Although, I do admit failure on one specific weapon. The Wrangler. I did not give Dom a script that contained a stereotype for this weapon, and I apologize dearly to both my viewers and to Doms that the Wrangler was misrepresented in this way. Truly, I have made a grave error, one that likely can never be forgiven, and I can only be sorry for my actions. Okay, that's enough self-pity. I've finished arguing with the people that I believe are inferior to me intellectually, and now we can probably move on to the part of the video that I know more people can accept comfortably. The new Rushy server Zombie Survival weapon changes. They were a work in progress for many months, finally releasing to the public on the 28th of July, and apart from some small bug fixes we made, not much has changed since then. Of course, not all weapons had their stats altered, so I'll begin by listing the weapons that weren't affected, starting with the engineer meta. Widowmaker, shotgun, pistol, gunslinger. These weapons weapons are extremely unlikely to change due to veterans of the game mode, including myself, being so used to them, and it was never our intention to make the best weapons worse. We also have the other unchanged weapons, the Panic Attack, Wrangler, Southern Hospitality, Jag, Bonesaw, Amputator, and Solemn Vow. For these, they are more likely to be changed, but haven't been yet due to either current technical limitations or a lack of knowledge about these weapons' rankings amongst their alternatives. But you're here to see the balances, not everything else, and I apologize for wasting your time for this long so far. Let me finally break out of this bad habit to bring you the new Frontier Justice. Recall that you can't get revenge crits in zombie survival, so without them, this primary was simply a worse shotgun with 3 less total ammo and half the clip size. People used to this weapon in casual mode would turn up in ZS and get absolutely slaughtered. But now, double reload speed and 3 extra ammo have made the Frontier Justice a close cousin to stock. While the shotgun delivers a 6-shot payload, the Frontier Justice has 3 shots, but it can get back to firing much quicker, and you're punished less for firing before you fully reloaded. As for the POMSON 6000, this weapon really did get the short end of the stick before its balance. Everybody knew that this weapon was bad because its fire rate was so slow, hence the people that used it were almost always joking about it. But now, the fire rate's way faster, so no longer is the POMSON a meme weapon in zombie survival. It actually has some use, although I have yet to get accustomed to it. I'll tell you one thing though, killing people with this weapon is the most satisfying thing ever. The weapon I'll never get accustomed to, however, is the Rescue Ranger, but I understand that a lot of people know how to use this primary to its full potential. Knowing this, we agreed to only provide a slight buff to the weapon, increasing the Rescue Ranger's clip size to that of stock. There's not much else to say about this primary since it's a niche amongst ZS players, but the Short Circuit? Oh boy. The Short Circuit has been under fire for a long time because of its no-skill, multiple medic targeting alt-fire. I was unfortunate enough to film the Stereotypes video before the first March 28th patch, thus I've been plagued with comments nagging me to give my thoughts on the new energy ball. Well, here they are. Seeing that the projectile is still able to hit several medics in a row, the ban on the alt-fire isn't about to be lifted just yet. However, to compensate, we've boosted the damage output of the primary fire by 50%. In the future, it is possible that the Short Circuit's alt-fire may be unbanned, however we would have to have a very clear understanding of how people would use the weapon to make a choice like that. I'll mention this again, this video is only intended to rectify the shortcomings of my previous zombie survival video. It likely won't remain up to date, and you'll have to look to the Team Fortress 2 wiki for that. This cannot be better demonstrated by the stock wrench, which we've added a 10% swing speed boost to. That's all. Nothing else. I know that we have to do more with this weapon since it's still subpar compared to the other wrenches, but future playstyles need to be obvious to us before we proceed with drastic balances. I can confidently say that we're not at all uncertain about the changes that we've made to the ÜBERSAW and VITA-SAW, starting with the ÜBERSAW, gaining health when hitting an engineer. This new upside is intended to overshadow the weapon's rather slow swing speed. The change might not make sense, but what's necessary to understand is that we're creating an ÜBERSAW versus VITA-SAW dynamic. The ÜBERSAW is being designed to benefit medics that leap over buildings and attack engineers directly. The VITA-SAW, on the other hand, is most friendly to medics that target buildings. It began its life as a meme weapon for reducing a medic's health by 10 with no reward. Taking another 10 health away from the wearer and leaving them at 130, this melee can now deal 10% more damage to those dispensers and teleporters standing between you and the survivors. But don't zone out just yet. This medic weapon is the only one out of the main 5 that has a Juggernaut-specific upside. If you are a Juggernaut using this weapon, while you will have 130 max health, the game will overheal you to 150. This doesn't make the VITA-SAW a Juggernaut's only viable weapon choice though, and they are still free to switch to the ÜBERSAW to keep their health up or the Amputator to exclusively help other medics. Overall, Rushy Server Zombie Survival has gone through a lot, and despite how long some updates to the game mode may take to be finalized, they do eventually come and make the whole experience better every time. You could also shoehorn in the conclusion that I dislike the YouTube community and deflect all blame I'm given for things I have done, but I will neither confirm nor deny that. I'll begin to roll the credits now. If you managed to watch this entire video and listen to everything I had to say, then consider liking, commenting, and subscribing for more videos by yours truly. Of course, the majority of people won't be able to follow those instructions because they'll have either skipped through the video or haven't watched it at all. In any case, thank you for paying attention to me amongst the endless crowd of TF2 YouTubers, and I hope to make another video for you soon. See you later, guys.